Welcome to another Super Deluxe Edition unboxing video, and I thought with the news yesterday that Warner's are about to reissue Duran Duran's 1980s studio albums, all 5 of them, it'd be a good time to catch up on the last reissue campaign, which was way back in 2010/2009 for Rio, and just have a look at the deluxe editions and the remasters that came out at that time. Because of course this new campaign, they're not remastering the albums, they're using the old remasters that came out before. So I have a pile here, we're going to look through these and see what we've got. Starting with Rio, so this was 2009, they had a lot of activity in 2010 at EMI with the Duran Duran reissues, but it all started in 2009 with Rio, which was reissued as this deluxe 2 CD set, and there was a vinyl version as well. So this packaging in the end was never to be repeated, but I mean it's quite nice because it's a sort of book set. It's got a nice kind of textured sleeve. This lets the side down a little bit, putting 2 CD limited edition on such iconic artwork, which is obviously not removable because it's printed on. That was a bit of a disappointment, but overall they did a nice job with this, and especially in terms of the content, because you got the remastered Rio album, which sounded good. The remastering wasn't as bad as some of the later remasters, but crucially you got all the original US album mixes that were done slightly after the event and released on cassette. They were definitely on the cassette in America. I don't know if they ever got a vinyl version of this, but they never came out on CD, those mixes. So this was the first time back in 2009 that they'd been on CD. There was some unreleased content in the Manchester Square demos. And then after that, it was reasonably standard. It was B-sides and remixes, but still good to gather everything together. And this was presented, you know, as a book, effectively. So there's the original disc. And then inside you got quite a nice book with lyrics and photos and notes, etc. So very nice. There was no DVD with this, which was a bit of a shame when you think how iconic the Rio video is and all the visuals from this era. So that was a bit of a head scratcher, particularly when we come on to the later reissues. Pretty good start with Rio though. This is a new remaster for 2009. This is the mastering that's going on the new 2024 edition. So 15 years later, they're using the same remaster. Next up, Duran Duran, the 1981 debut album. So this came out in 2010. There was a lot of activity in 2010, but everything else basically came out in 1 year. What EMI decided to do, for some reason, is change the packaging and go for this lift-off lid box set, this sort of small format box set, which they were quite into at the time. They did all the Radiohead albums like this, but they did the Blur reissues in a similar way. So this was a kind of EMI style packaging. So just to demonstrate, here's Park Life, which was reissued in a very similar fashion with you know, inserts, postcards, that kind of thing. EMI obviously liked this. They could probably get some good economies of scale making a lot of these boxes and then pasting. You see it's pasted, you paste the different artwork on. So this would have been a way for them to make these box sets quite cheaply. So back to Duran Duran, they did a very good job in terms of the visual. So it remains to be seen whether on the new gatefold CD issue we're going to get things like foil blocking. I actually doubt it, but we'll see. Very nicely presented front photo. And then again on the back, same kind of thing. They've got more foil blocking. Everything's kind of looks great in terms of like the presentation, the artwork. Done a very good job recreating Malcolm Garrett's original designs. Now where this fell down was on the mastering. It's a very compressed, very sort of ear bleeding kind of remaster. So no one liked the mastering really. I say no one. I mean, there was a lot of negative comments about the mastering. In fact, it was even reported on in The Guardian. I mean, it made national press, and Andy Taylor said it was rubbish. So the band were diplomatic, they didn't comment on it. So that is the main issue with this particular. Girls on film at the beginning, the camera clicks, it's not correct. And EMI defended that and saying it was tape deterioration that caused that. In terms of the content, we've got the original album with some B-sides appended. So Late Bar, Canada, Fame and Faster Than Light. CD 2, we've got some more Manchester Square demos, Air Studio versions of songs, radio sessions, and then all the night versions, all the remixes there. New for this particular release was a DVD. There was no DVD with Rio, but they decided, okay, we'll include a DVD with the next reissue. So we got all the videos, Top of the Pops appearances, Old Grey Whistle tests, etc. Even Multicoloured Swap Shop, which was a Saturday morning TV show in the UK. So excellent content, there's no point denying it. Very, very good content. I actually like these boxes as well, very nice. There was a 2 CD version that came out which didn't include the DVD, but it wasn't packaged like that 2 CD, it was packaged differently. Let's see when you lift off the lid what you get. So effectively you get the 3 discs in separate card wallets. Good opportunity to do different versions of the artwork. So this is the actual album itself with the B-sides appended. I mean, the new reissue for 2024, it uses this remaster that no one really likes very much. So that's a strange thing to do. But you are going to get it without the B-sides at the end. So you'll have the album and then nothing. Some people don't like it when you get extra tracks at the end. So there's the CD itself. So this is the second disc, which has the demos and the night versions on. So just another variation of the artwork. Then finally, this is the DVD with all the videos and the TV appearances and another variation of the artwork design. On top of all that, you got some bits in the box. So you got a booklet, fairly light booklet, it has to be said. When you compare what they did with Rio, I mean, you don't even get the lyrics on this booklet. It's very thin and flimsy. But you do get some quite nice postcards with the band members. They haven't bothered with the foil blocking for the postcards. There's Simon. Oops, forgot Simon. And then you get this poster at the back. I suppose it's a mini poster really, isn't it? So this reissue of Duran Duran, the debut album, would set the template with a notable exception for the rest of the 80s albums. So we're going to go through them and have a quick look. So we did Rio at the beginning because they released that before. So the next album in sequence is their 3rd studio album, Seven and the Ragged Tiger. This album was from 1983. Has the Reflex on it, which was dramatically remixed by Nile Rodgers. Got to number 1. Let's have a look at the content. It's quite hard to see here because of the typeface and the design, but slightly different. You get CD 1, just the album, so there's no B-sides appended. CD 2, you get B-sides and remixes, and then you get a DVD. It's quite good because it does have the As the Light Goes Down film, so that's a real bonus. And you get the videos, you get Top of the Pops, etc. So pretty good DVD on this particular product. Now the content is very much as before. They've done some, unique artwork approaches for the discs themselves. This one here is the CD, so this is the album. This disc is the bonus B-sides and remixes. So again, this is new remaster. I don't think this one was quite as bad as the previous album, the first record, the debut album I should say, but still not particularly much loved. And then this is the DVD, which has the As the Lights Go Down film. So again, a really good 2 CD and DVD set. They've basically repeated the idea, so more postcards of the band looking as they looked in 1983. Another rather perfunctory booklet, 8 pages, no lyrics. And then another one of these mini posters. So there we go, that's Seven and the Ragged Tiger. So as we know, after this album, there was the Arena live album, which had Wild Boys on it. That was never part of this reissue campaign. Then the bands went their separate ways for the Power Station and Arcadia. And brilliantly, EMI chose to include the Arcadia album as part of their 2010 reissue campaign. So that's what we're going to look at next, because it's kind of chronological order in terms of release date. So here we go. Arcadia, So Red the Rose. Well, the first thing to point out with this is, why isn't it in the little lift-off lid box? Nobody knows why it isn't. Money saving is the only thing I can assume, because if you do it in a box, you need to have separate sleeves, you need to have the postcards, so they've gone for the old style fat box CD. They've ruined the artwork by putting that stupid box there. This album came out in 1985 originally, and it wasn't available on CD until 1990 when this edition came out. See how much nicer the artwork looks when you don't have a stupid square on it. Yeah, it came out in Japan first, part of their Super Masters series. Remember, there's all sorts of rumours we were going to get bonus tracks, but we never did. It was just the standard album. This was the first time it had come out on CD, 1990. Despite the packaging, I don't mind a fat box, but it is just annoying that it's not consistent. But putting that to one side, it's a tremendous package, this. I don't think technically there's anything completely unreleased, but it's a totally comprehensive collection of all the commercially released mixes and B-sides and everything. So on the first CD, it's a 2 CD and a DVD set, that's the first thing to say. Same as Seven and the Ragged, same as the Duran Duran album. So the first CD is the album itself, remastered. Oh, actually, no, the first CD is the album, and then you get a load of bonus tracks appended. 7-inch of Say the Word, which was on the Playing for Keeps soundtrack. That's the kind of non-album single from Arcadia. And then you get the single versions of Election Day, Goodbye is Forever, The Promise, The Flame. There's so many singles from this album. Another version of Say the Word, I think it's the soundtrack version. She's Moody and Grey, She's Mean and She's Restless. Was another sort of B-side variant of that's Election Day, I think, isn't it? Anyway, CD2 then has all the various 12-inch mixes, and there are a lot of them. Election Day, Goodbye is Forever. Goodbye is Forever was only released in America on 12-inch. So there's loads of mixes of that. Another version of Say the Word. In fact, 2 more versions of Say the Word. So much stuff. I love all these remixes. It was very much the 80s, but Arcadia was perfect to be remixed. There's some great, tremendous remixes on here, actually. And then, brilliantly, the VHS videos stroke documentary thing that came out. They put it on DVD for you. So really, really good. It was reasonably well packaged. The booklet isn't very good. There's the booklet, there's not much going on there. But, there's the DVD. You can't argue with the content, and this is quite sought after these days. It went out of print relatively quickly. I think you have to fork out a fortune to get hold of one of these at the moment. But, very, very good. It's just a shame it wasn't done in the same style as the others. What with Rio looking like that, Arcadia looking like that, Duran Duran looking like that. I don't know what they were thinking of. Most of these came out within 18 months of each other, so there wasn't much excuse for trying to adopt a bit of consistency. Anyway, after Arcadia, it all went a bit pear-shaped. Andy Taylor did come back and play a little bit of guitar on Notorious, but effectively the band were a 3-piece: Simon Le Bon, Nick Rhodes and John Taylor. Notorious is a really wonderful album. I love this album. I think very, very underrated. It kind of deserved to do better than it did. I know Notorious was a transatlantic top 10 hit, but the album didn't sell particularly well. Let's just look at the content. Again, it's not that easy to read, but basically it's the album on CD1 with some 7-inch mixes at the end. CD2 are all the various 12-inch mixes, including some sort of reasonably rare ones, like the Parisian mix of Skin Trade, which wasn't commercially released in the UK. This doesn't include the Latin Rascals remix of Notorious, I don't think. Why it doesn't, I don't know. That was a big miss, actually, not having that. But you do get the DVD, which is working for the Skin Trade. Came out on VHS at the time. Another quick look at the booklet. Again, it's not the most impressive of booklets. It's always interesting to see what new designs they come up with for the discs. Yes, that's the album, original album. with 7-inch versions on the front. There's the disc. This is the remix disc. It does have some of the interesting kind of white label remixes that came out in America. And it has Duran Duran Goes Dutch, the EP, live EP that ended up on a picture disc. But same sort of pattern. And this has the same cover as the VHS had originally. Working for the Skin Trade. It's a live show, this. But you get bonus videos for the singles, the 3 singles, and then the performance of Notorious on Top of the Pop. They can't have ended up going on Top of the Pops for Skin Trade, because that was only a minor hit in the end, wasn't it? Same situation as before, selection of postcards. Yeah, this is the poster. I was just thinking, where's the mini poster? But there is one. Moody black and white shot. So that's the Notorious special edition from 2010. And then to finish off, one of my personal favourites, the Big Thing album, great record, 1988. 2 top 10 hits, one in America, I Don't Want Your Love, and one in the UK, All She Wants Is. So very interesting how those songs did differently in different territories. Very good artwork for Big Thing. There's the booklet. Booklet is kind of like a recreation of the original, actually. To go over what's on here. The first disc is the album itself, no extras on there. The second disc is a collection of remixes and B-sides. The interesting thing about this is it has Big Thing, a 12-inch remix of Big Thing and a 7-inch remix of Big Thing. So they were never issued at the time. Big Thing was never a single, but obviously they maybe thought it should be. So that was one of the most interesting things about this particular reissue. You got 2 unreleased mixes of the song Big Thing. You do get the Euro house mix of All She Wants Is. And you also get the US master mix, that's quite good. The remixes of All She Wants Is were actually really, really good. And then you get Big Thing live on DVD. So you get various versions of the artwork on the different discs. So that's the album. Oh yeah, the other thing I should say about Big Thing is they updated the version of Drugs. The original version of Big Thing has a remixed version of Drug on it, but the band hated it and regretted putting it on there. So in 2010 they replaced it with what was their original version of Drug. It does sound much better. So that's an important point for the Big Thing reissue. The new 2024 reissue is going to include the unremixed version of Drug, so that's good. Here is the second disc. This has all the remixes on it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And then this is the DVD with the live concert and the videos. I don't think Big Thing Live ever came out on VHS. I think this might be new to, instead of reissuing a VHS, I don't think it actually came out. I could be wrong, but someone can leave a comment and correct me on that. This is a card that came with this, with John Taylor explaining what they replaced the version of Drug on the album, so that's quite interesting. Then you get the usual postcards and a mini poster, of course. It was the late 80s, so these haircuts didn't look as strange at the time as they might do now. So that is Big Thing, the 2010 deluxe edition. So Big Thing, Notorious, the first album, Arcadia, and Seven and the Ragged all came out in 2010. Pretty impressive when you consider, we haven't had the Wedding album in over 30 years. Rio came out in 2009. And of course, there has been lots of activity recently with Duran Duran. That's all for the post-EMI era, with things like Pop Trash. Well, I guess Medazzaland was the last EMI Capital album, but the band own Medazzaland, which is why they don't mind reissuing that. But the original era, the original classic era of EMI in the 80s, since 2010 they haven't really done anything with that catalogue. So I hope you've enjoyed this look back at the 2010 Duran Duran reissue campaign. Very interesting to see what was done. We're about to get these albums all over again, but they're going to be single CD remasters from 2010, no bonus tracks, no deluxe packaging, nothing like that. So leave a comment with your thoughts on Duran Duran and reissues. And if you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to the Super Deluxe Edition YouTube channel for more great physical music unboxed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.